Okay. So then on the same context of controlling your case workflow, we have one more aspect, which is about skipping stages and processes.
Can you also share this document with me, please?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Will do.
Because that will help quickly go through the notes, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So let me take you through this skipping stages and processes. Okay. Sometimes, like I said, not every customer needs to go through all of your processes. Not required. Right? For example, on the aspect of collecting the candidate info, I also want to collect the candidate's background verification info. A few details related to the background also I wanted to add. So what could I do? I can just have a one more step here for adding in the background details, or I can add it as a separate process. How do I add it? Click on these three dots, add process, and a new process. So this process is for collecting BGB.
This is background process, isn't it?
Right, exactly. So all details related to his earlier companies, the HRs, his managers, the contact details. And stuff.
Sorry, how do you recognize it as a background process?
I mean, background as in it doesn't mean it's running in the back end. No, no, no,
Oh,
not
no, no,
that.
not like that. In the sense it's optional, isn't it?
Yes, terminology is just called background verification.
Yeah, no, no. But how it will skip from the main to it will not bother to come here unless you want it?
Wait, let me tell you. Yes. So
Okay.
here, processes. Collect candidate info, BGB info, two processes. Let us see how the system takes these two. So will it implement only one? Will it implement both or none? We'll see. I've just added one process under the submission stage. We'll see.
When you add, there was no difference, isn't it, between adding?
Correct.
You added the same way how you added collect candidate info, isn't it?
Correct. I just clicked on these three dots that you see on the stage,
Uh,
and there's
uh-huh.
something called process. Okay, let me just show it once again, maybe after this.
Yeah.
I'm going to proceed. Okay, so I've got submission stage and I got personal info, which means first process is being executed. Okay, still on the same process. Yes, I see BGB info. So this assignment is part of the second process that we have added. So until unless you define or you add a condition, all the processes would go in a sequential order.
Okay.
Right? So all my processes under a stage are complete. Only then the case proceeds to the next stage. Okay? Right. So now collect candidate info would be executed. After that, it goes to BGB info. Only then it goes to interview. That's how it works.
Okay. It will first go to the first process. It will complete all the steps of first process and then go to the second process.
It follows a sequential order.
Yeah.
Right? Now, suppose as part of my requirement, so this BGB process, whatever is there, I don't need to perform a BGB for candidates who are already been part of my organization earlier. I can, because earlier I would have done it, right? So there's no point. So as part of my requirement, I need to skip this process for certain candidates, depending upon the condition. Once I click on this process, you see the start process is set always. By default, this is never skipped. It always starts. But now, as per my scenario, I would want to add in some condition. Depending upon the condition only, I want this process to be started. So what is that condition? Let's see. So let me click on this. You see this option, right? The gear icon. Click to configure conditions. Let me select this. Now, what is the condition for you to start this process? Condition is candidate
that
should not be previous employee.
yeah? So that
If he
field
is
you
not
need to validate.
exactly. If he is not an
That on the
employee, means
checkbox.
he will be starting this transaction or starting this process. Let us see. Okay. So here is your condition where you can configure.
It's still loading, isn't it? Okay. Select.
Yes. So configure conditions. So here are your conditions. And your condition is based upon
Fields.
what?
Fields.
So let me select fields. And what is your field?
Is
Is
previous employee.
and depending upon my field, I get the comparators as well.
Yeah.
As is the book, I get true or false. If this is an integer, I get comparators related to that.
Yeah. So is false.
False. And I can add in multiple conditions also if required. And add in some logical
And
or.
or something like that.
But my whole criteria is about
Yeah, just
understanding.
setting.
So let us see. Now once we submit, we'll try to run this and we'll check. Okay, we save and run. Okay, let me proceed. So earlier we have seen without the condition, the transaction is proceeded with both the processes. But this time, let us select assuming where is it? Okay,
Next
I
page.
select
Yeah.
this. So will my process be skipped or will it appear?
It will be skipped.
Right. So I should be going on to the written test. Let us see. Yes. I'm on the written test screen, which means your process for collecting the BGV info is skipped.
Yeah.
So likewise, I can choose different conditions depending upon my business scenarios, and accordingly, we can skip processes and you can also skip stages. Stages can also be. So if you think a complete
So
stage can be.
actually, you need to have the background of object-oriented language, but you need not program,
Uh,
isn't
Not
it?
exactly, yes, but
It
yeah.
makes easier, isn't it, to understand if you have
But at least for
object-oriented.
a BA, I don't think this OOP and all is required. Maybe for a developer, if he is good with OOP, that helps. But
It
for a
helps.
BA,
Even here,
not
if I think to select the logics quickly, I think it might help, isn't
yes,
it?
for logics, I think any base of a programming language should help. For any analytical thinking is also fine. They
Yeah,
don't
that's
need
also true.
programming expert, but a bit of
Yeah, not
analytical.
expert. You need to know the concepts. That's it.
Correct. Yes. Okay. Right. So this is about your skipping processes and stages. Even for stages also you can skip depending upon the requirement. So here you see you can do it. I mean not on the App Studio. You can skip stages only on the Dev Studio. Right here you cannot do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
stages you
skipping
can't skip.
from the App Studio. Right, because you don't get to have any an expression builder or some condition evaluation is not available here.
Okay, so if you know that the stage has to be skipped, but still you will do that task, isn't it, before handing over this project to the, in the sense, for the developers,
We
you
can
go to the app
always,
store and
right, we can always switch to the dev studio to look after these things. Yeah, we can still do that.
yeah, but
It's not like,
otherwise you have to. Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, otherwise you have to give them separately, isn't it? Because you can't let them know the specifications here that you need to skip a stage.
Correct, correct. Yes. So whatever
So you
few
can do a
things,
basic configuration by going to a dev, because I remember you saying in enterprise they may not give you access to the dev studio, isn't it? If you're a BA.
sometimes yes. So in that case, we have to, clearly document it or clearly, define it on
Specify
that
that.
story. Yes, yes, it has to be done. Yeah.
Mm.
Right? Yes, on the same context of processes here, now these two processes, candidate info and BGV info, they are sequential. Right? I cannot have them as parallel processes because first I need to collect information related to the candidate. And there is some condition that I wanted to execute. So these cannot be handled parallelly. But few processes, if you think they are independent of each other, they can be handled as parallel processes. For example, in the onboarding, okay, the HR processes, the admin processes, and the IT processes can go in parallel. Correct?
Mm.
It's not only after I get the access, you provide me a laptop, or only if the admin provides access, IT will provide laptop. No. Or if only IT provides a laptop, HR will provide a bank account. No. So they all, those three or whatever the process are, they can run in parallel. So next step is we will try to see how to deal with parallel processes.
Mhm.
I thought all these things are related to controlling the
Yeah,
group's
it's
work.
good to cover once for all, isn't it?
Yeah, why not just finish it in one go?
Yeah.
So, yes, let us add in some parallel processes now. We'll see how the system reacts.
Mhm.
In order to add a parallel process, probably I'll add a stage for onboarding and then I'll add some parallel process. Because the
That
rest
is
of
the
the other
place where
steps,
you had the process, isn't it? This is okay. Oh, sorry, it's a stage. Yeah, yeah. Process is next, isn't it?
right?
No, these are steps. So how does a stage come there? This create submission interview.
Submission, interview, release offer are all stages, right? So there's a plus stage here. If I want, I can add in one more stage.
Okay, and the second one, collect candidate info, is a process, isn't it? Okay.
That's a process, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just. So adding in the parallel processes would result. I mean, obviously, different users or different people should be working on it. Same person working on it, I cannot call them as parallel processes, right? So slowly we will be looking at who works or who is responsible for a particular assignment and all of that. We will be looking at those aspects.
Mhm. Is it default you land in Admin Studio?
Correct. Because I've chosen the admin credentials, right? The admin operator.
Okay.
So if I would have chosen author, I would have directly landed onto my app studio. Like that.
Mm.
Okay, so let me choose the case types and okay. All right, now let me just add a stage here for onboarding and one process for maybe collect information for HR documents or something. Verify documents and I'll name it HR process. Okay. Now, in order to add another parallel process or in order to add a process in parallel, I click on the same three dots again, but this time I'll click on add parallel process. And I'm going to use a new process here, which is to what? Which is for provide infra. Provide IT infra. Okay, so this step is for providing the IT infra and stuff for the user. And then one more parallel process for scope. I just added it as a process. It should be a parallel process. So you see, there's this indication that it says these are the processes.
Yeah.
And this is for provide access. And this is from the admin team. Three different teams have to be working on it. Okay, so now let me just save and run this. For normal processes, we just see only one assignment that's available on the process. Whereas for parallel processes, we see all the pending assignments on that corresponding stage. I think if it is done, we will see it. Yes, let me submit. So you see, when it's a normal process, you see the open assignments are you get to see whatever is on the screen. You get to see that's your assignment, the pending ones. There's always one if it's a sequential process. You see, open assignments would just be one, the current assignment that. But when it goes to parallel processes, let me proceed, so written test, then I have to go through an approval. Yes, now you see, offer acceptance is the last step of that release offer. Right. Now you see the open assignments, verify documents, provide laptop, and provide infra.
Okay,
All
so they're running parallelly.
three different processes, but yet I can choose. So I see provide infra. The last updated one will be your will be the one that comes on the screen. But if I want, I can go to verify documents. It takes me to that screen, or I can go to other assignments. Right? I see all three are pending. Means they are in parallel. So I want different teams to work on it or different people to work on it. And once I advance the case, so the case would proceed on to the next. All the it considers all the parallel process to be complete, and then it goes on to the next stage. Or if there's any sequential process, the next would continue. It goes like that.
Okay. So this will close there, isn't it? We don't have any further steps.
Correct. Yes, this case is closed. But if you want to have a resolved stage and all, yes, the case would go to the next resolved stage like that. Okay. So these are having optional actions, skipping some stages and process, and parallel processing.